recording. Okay, so this morning we will talk about the thesis statement. So at the end of our lesson, what are we going to what are expected of us? Okay, may I ask to give me the objectives? Angel, Romar, would you kindly read what are expected of you after our lesson? Number 1, 2, 3. Can you see?
No, sure. Wala po nakita.
Wala kang
Wala
makita.
po, sir.
Okay, sorry. Okay, how about this one? Can you see it?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Number
Ay,
1, identify what a thesis statement is.
okay.
Objective number 2, distinguish weak and strong thesis statements. And number 3, develop a thesis statement for living text.
Okay. So, this is how you pronounce this as thesis. Okay? Thesis
Okay.
statement. Yes. Okay. So, identify what a thesis statement is. Now, distinguish weak and strong thesis statements and develop a thesis statement for a given text. So, 3 objectives for today. Okay. So, let us go directly to the point. What is a thesis statement? I believe you have already encountered this in your perhaps in your junior and senior third grade 9 and 10 lessons. So I will ask, okay, Jeresa, what do you understand with a thesis statement?
Thesis statement contains the main idea of a texture.
Hmm.
It can be seen in in the beginning of the paragraph, or in the latter part of the paragraph, or at the at the end of the paragraph.
Okay, so okay, thank you, Jeresa. Now, it sounds like a topic sentence as you are telling me. Okay, so who else can give me? Thank you, Jeresa, for your understanding of what a thesis statement is. What comes to your mind when thesis statement is being introduced to you? Sige, I would like to hear Jana. What comes to your mind?
Sure, it talks about the academic text.
Academic text. Okay, so you purely identify the thesis statement as something that you do for academic. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we use it in our academic subjects. Okay, how about, let me hear, sige, saan si Vince Kyle. Vince Kyle, what do you understand when you come across this thesis statement? Walang ano. Vince Kyle, can you hear us? Do you have a mic? No, no response. Okay, how about Ashley? Ashley, how do you understand the thesis statement? You may...
Teacher,
Mm-mm.
it expresses the main idea of an essay.
Oh, an essay. Okay. It expresses the idea of the main... I get some of your keywords. Okay. Main idea. Okay, you have a
Main
point
idea of research paper, sir.
of the research paper. Okay. I think that sums it in just a part of it. Okay, thank you, Ashley. So, going back to all of your answers, okay, it's actually in your module. Okay, I want you to take a look at this. The thesis is the main idea or main point of an informational text. That's correct. You have expressed that, called the topic sentence. It serves as a roadmap of the text you are reading. Simply, the thesis statement provides direction or purpose to the text. It can be expressed anywhere in the selection or passage you are reading. It can be seen at the beginning, middle, or end of the text, as what Jeresa was saying earlier. Okay, now I want to point out also STEM learners that a thesis statement, if you're going to go back in your elementary, it's just simply as your topic sentence. But when you are already dealing with academic text, it's already more than just a topic sentence. Okay? So, say for example, okay, I want you to read this one. Let me hear Carlos Magalaman. Do you see my screen? Okay. Carlos? Okay. So, please read.
The thesis is stated at the beginning, and the reader may expect that the following sentence support or develop it. The ideas are said to be organized in deductive order. However, if the thesis is stated at the later part of the text, then
Latter part of the text.
later, right,
Okay.
the preceding statement are the details of or the specifics. This follows the inductive order. Remember that thesis statements require proof or evidence to make their stand more convincing and effective.
Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Okay. So, just like any other academic text, when you are going to state your thesis at the beginning, then you are already what? You are already following a deductive order. Okay. Big idea first, followed by the details, supporting details, up until it will go down to the least important details. Kaya deductive siya. Kaya yung deductive, I'm going to put here a design na. Kaya yung deductive, it's more like of a inverted triangle. Yan lang. Baliktarin natin. Ito yung deductive. Yan. Pag sinabi nating deductive, you are deducing it. So, pinaka-importanting detalye nasa taas. Say, for example, yung topic ninyo. Rabia Mateo deserves to win the Miss Universe crown because of the following reasons. Okay. So, doon pa lang, umpisa pa lang, meron ka ng statement. The readers are already informed of what you are going to discuss in your paper. Bakit kaya nasabi niya yon? Of course, you are going to support that with the following statements. Okay. If you're going to look at the criteria of selecting the Miss Universe candidate, blah, blah, blah. So, yun. So, yun na yung magiging discussion mo in your paper. So, ang tawag dito, kapag nag-umpisa ka sa pinaka-statement niya, deductive. Pero, kapag you started with the details or you started with the specifics, okay, ito ang medyo tricky. Madali lang itong deductive. Ang tricky itong inductive. Okay. Inductive. Punta naman tayo sa shape. It follows a what? Something that you are going to start with a specific. Say for example, what are the reasons why the Philippines is still lagging behind the countries with in terms of actively solving the COVID-19 cases. So, pwede ka mag-start doon sa part na number 1. We have a, what do you call that? We have shortage of the health workers. Number 2, there are still cases of death. Taas yung death rate natin. Number 3, ano pa din, no, hindi pa rin disciplined yung ibang Pilipino pagdating sa pag-observe ng mga protocols. So if you're going to if you're going to already lay out the specifics, then at the end of your paper, these are the reasons why the Philippines is still lagging behind in terms of proactively solving the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is what you call the inductive order. So remember that thesis statements, you just don't merely write it down, but require proof or evidences to make your stand more convincing and effective. Okay? So when you are going to make your paper, or you're making a, what do you call this, a, sabihin natin, an educational statement or guess, you have to make sure that you have a solid backing of research, details, and events. Kaya hindi tayo basta-basta lang we put statements out in the social media. Say for example, there are issues arising in what they call this, in our present times. So would you kindly give me some of the pressing issues that we face nowadays in our country or even in other countries, aside from the COVID-19, because it's already underrated. So who can give me some of the examples? Okay, I would like to ask sige, Japa, can you give me an issue, a certain issue in our recent times, or certain topic of interest?
Ano po, like for example, the affair, Shield Filipino, which is it tackles about the history of our country, and the teens or the young generation are already coping up, or was given an idea of the truth behind those histories po.
So you are saying about how the teens or the present generation is actively understanding Philippine history, ganun ba, Japa?
Yes po, and they are using the social media to express po, or to let other people know about this.
I got reminded, no, nung isang social media. Thank you for reminding me, Japa. Have you come across that I think she's a vlogger influencer who doesn't know Jose Rizal? Hindi niya kilala si Jose Rizal?
Si Mary Lighter.
Okay. So why was it a cause of concern among educators and even in the academic community? Hindi ko kasi kilala yung name niya. It caused a concern because in her generation who have already influenced a lot of people, and yet here she was in one of her vlogs honestly admitting she doesn't know Jose Rizal. 'Di ba? Elementary pa lang kayo, talagang tinuturuan na kayo kung sino si Jose Rizal. Okay. So siguro magandang gawan nyo ng research paper yung why is it that some of our teens nowadays have very low appreciation of history and academics. You know, I've seen some of the comments, and some of the comments can be like this. It was because of the poor educational system, it's because of the ganito ganyan, and again, blame is being thrown to the government. But if I'm going to read that, I will not easily be convinced, because the first thing that I am looking into an argument or a thesis statement is that it should have a solid backing of proofs and evidences. That's why I like to read post coming from Mr. Haydrayan. Kilala niyo ba yan siya? I like to read a post from the Washington Post, the Rappler, and a lot of good writers, because when they are going to present their statement about certain issues, matalino yung pagkakapresent. Hindi yung basta-basta nag-present lang siya ng kanyang statement o yung kanyang opinion na sige lang, feel ko lang. O, di ba? Mas maganda yung, okay, why do you think Joe Biden and Miss Harris should win the US election? Probably you would state in your body about the number of programs they are supporting and also their track record in governance. So, mas maganda yun basahin kaysa magbabasa ka doon ng statement ng mga bashers. Sometimes yung iba racist pa ang dating. For me, I will not that will not gain my respect and trust. So, you as students of English for academic and for academic purpose should also academic and professional, diba? Pag tingnan nyo yung inyong subject, you are going to see here English for academic and professional purposes. We should also take note of the premise on which we are dealing with issues. So, professionally, if we are going to give statements or we are going to actively believe a certain issue, we must what? Not only refer to one source. Kailangan marami tayong basahin. Okay? So, yun siguro yung medyo nakakalungkot lang kasi not all of us are actively what do you call this? Say for example, researching more about certain issues. Kaya hindi basta-basta yung maglalagay lang tayo ng kumbaga no, yung we just put our thoughts right away in the social media without even reading more about the topic. Yung iba, nagpo-post sila para they would seem to sound educated, pero last part, pag himay-himayin mo na yung kanilang magiging opinion sa isang bagay, napapansin nyo masyadong mahina yung kanyang backing o kanyang evidences. So, anong mangyayari pag mahina? Sometimes you yourself have doubts if you are going to believe this person or not. Okay? So, much more like the thesis statement that we are also studying now, you have to have, you have to organize it comprehensively. You also need to make sure that that your thesis statements are being supported with details that are that are taken or cited from credible sources. If possible, if you have also the statistics, you can also place that in your statement. Okay. Now I want you to take a look, at these two types of what you call this of statements that I have. So may I ask Carl Jude Utrera. Carl Jude, would you kindly read the first statement?
Too much alcohol consumption is not good for the health.
Okay. Number 2 statement, Henrik Apolonio. What is number 2 statement?
Excessive alcohol consumption increase the risk to health problems as it may cause liver damage, stomach distress, and even cancer.
Okay, so I would like to ask one of you. Okay, let me ask Irish. Of these two statements, which do you think is a strong statement?
Sure.
Which of these two do you think is a very strong statement? strong, ibig sabihin, malakas yung dating sa iyo, at saka it really has a good what do you call this? A good statement.
Para sa kotse ka tong second.
Of course, you have to say it in English. I prefer. Okay.
I prefer the second sentence, sure.
Second sentence or statement. Why?
Because sure, compared to the first one, the second one has more
More
more precise, good siya, sure,
more specific and more detailed, you mean? Okay. Thank you, Irish. Okay, of these two statements, I think the second one, you are correct. This is more of a thesis statement. Why? Because number one, thesis statement has to be specific. If you're going to look at the first statement, too much alcohol consumption is not good for the health. We all know that. It's already a given fact that when you are consuming too much alcohol, you would really get sick. But in the second statement, if you are going to check, there's already what? A detailed or specific reason why it is a risk to the health problems, as it may cause liver damage, stomach distress, and even cancer. So if I'm going to read this paper, I would assume that the writer or the author will talk about the studies that supports it, and the author who have also conducted several interviews regarding those who have been diagnosed with liver damage, what were their habits before, and even those who were afflicted with cancer. Okay, so the second one is a very strong statement, or it's a thesis statement. Okay, number two, I would like to listen to Jomar Piquierda. Jomar, kindly read thesis statement number 1.
This paper discusses the advantages and disadvantages of owning a pet.
Okay, ikaw na lang din please read the second statement.
Owning a pet brings good than burden because they can lower stress levels, make one feel safe, and teach their owners responsibility.
Responsibility. Okay, of the two, which is a strong thesis statement?
I prefer the second statement.
Okay. So, if you're going to check, the first one is too broad. Too general, di ba? Masyado siyang malawak. Okay, kung ako ang magsusulat nito, masyadong malaki yung scope. But if you're going to make your thesis statement as concise and as brief as the one in the second statement, careful kayo pag magsusulat ng thesis statement, because like this: owning a pet brings good than burden because they can lower stress levels. Of course, dapat niyan after the first paragraph, you would already be discussing about the lower stress levels of the pet owners. Okay? Dapat back up yan siya ng mga solid evidence, at meron kayong argument why pet owners have lower stress levels. Okay? Hindi basta-bastang maglalagay ka sa statement mo na hindi mo iba-back up sa body. Okay, probably you can insert interviews. Okay. Number 2, make one feel safe. Another paragraph also of providing solid proofs why one feels safe with a pet. And the number 3 paragraph that will support your thesis statement is teaching owners responsibility. So, I will know just by reading your thesis statement if you have a good research paper, because if you have a clear message of what you're going to discuss, then it's already what do you call that, a very good paper for me. Kaya nga sometimes pag hindi nyo naintindihan kung ano yung isusulat ninyo, kung sa brainstorming pa lang sabog na yung isip ninyo, kasi kung minsan nakabasa na ako ng ibang mga sinabmit ninyo, malalaman mo kung ikaw mismo naintindihan mo yung sinulat mo. Kasi at first pa lang, sa first statement mo pa lang, medyo wala na siyang direksyon. How much more if you're going to dig deeper into other parts of the paragraph. So, dito pa lang, sa umpisa pa lang, dapat klaro na. Kaya meron nagtatanong sa akin, "Teacher, how do I write a good research paper?" The first thing that you are going to consider is number 1, you have to pick a topic where you know you have, number 1, you have read a lot about it. Number 2, you have a lot of research backing it up, backing your belief. And number 3, you are able to know the direction of how your paper will flow. Many of the weaknesses of those who are writing the research paper is they just go to one particular paper, they read it, and they copy it. I-change lang nila yung mga vocabularies, which is, well, kung i-change mo lang naman yun, at saka lagyan-lagyan mo lang siya ng mga vocabulary words, then you don't really feel successful by the time you are submitting that to your teacher. Kaya it doesn't matter sometimes pag minsan nagmamali tayo kung minsan sa grammar, 'di ba? Pag nakita ko na maganda at maayos yung gusto mong message na ibigay sa iyong readers, I think we could work on the grammar. 'Di ba? Grammar follows. Yan parati ang ini-emphasize ko sa mga writers. So, okay, next. How about this next thesis statement? I would like to ask, saan si Marilyn? Marilyn?
Yes, po, sure.
Okay. Marilyn, would you kindly read the two statements?
Cats spend most of their time sleeping. Second, cats are better than dogs because they keep pests and at bay, and they require less work than puppies.
Okay. So, of the two statements, which do you think you could write better, or you could support better?
The second statement.
Okay. Napansin niyo yung yung thesis statement, meron talaga siyang meron talaga siyang because, or some it has there's a statement and then it says something about that statement. Pag sinabi yung cats are better than dogs, why do you say so? Because they keep pests at bay and they require less work than puppies. Okay. So that makes it easier for readers to just what? Okay. Ito pala yung i-discuss niya sa paper niya. Okay. So, if you're going to look at your, what do you call this? Your module, okay, you already have here the description of what a good statement is. Okay? So, yung statements, nandito yung nakalagay, Okay. So, these are the key statement. Number 1, it is not a fact. Okay? If you are going to talk about something that has already, parang may nag-ground out sa kanila. Okay? So, if you are going to talk about a thesis statement, number 1, take note that a fact is irrefutable. If it has already been established, wag na kayo magsulat about doon. Okay? Hindi kasi maganda na when you're writing an academic paper and you have, say for example, you are going to talk about say for example, yung mga on Earth, the gravity is ganito ganyan. It's already a given fact. So don't need for you to talk about it. So it's not even a question. So others would say it is a question yung thesis statement. Actually, in one of those mga kung mapapansin niyo sa thesis statement sa mga studies nila, 'di ba, naka question type siya. Okay? So actually the reason is for that, it's because those are the questions that are being attempted to be answered by your study. Kaya naka-question stated in a question siya. Pero if you are going to make your thesis statement in your academic paper, I suggest that you have to make it a statement. Okay? A declarative statement. So it is not an announcement. Okay? Avoid making vague and confusing thesis statements by making specific and focused thesis. Kagaya, ito yung mga pinupost ko kanina ng mga examples. So this is way too broad. Okay? Too much alcohol. And there's nothing really to discuss because this is already a given fact. Diba? So, take note also that your thesis statement is a complete sentence. A phrase does not convey complete ideas or thoughts. Stating the thesis in complete sentence make it easier for the reader to understand the main idea of the text. And it requires support and it takes a stand. Kapag meron na kayong thesis statement and you already have a good direction of how you're going to support it, then it's high time you start writing. Okay? I want to show you an example of a good, say for example, a good text. Okay. Number 1 niya pa lang, there is no doubt that cinema has risen as one of the most popular means of mass communication in contemporary Philippines. Okay. There is no doubt that cinema. Movie theaters, that cities, towns, and other important commercial centers from Apari to Hulo. Through these theaters, Nora Honor has truly become a national figure, and Tagalog has risen to the status of a real national language. Indeed, movie theaters have become as important to us today as churches were in the last century. So this was the statement of 4 values in Filipino drama and film by Nicanor G. Tiongson. So here, for the author, the cinema already have a massive impact. Siguro sinulat ito nung 1980s to 1990s. Ito maganda itong i-refute. Maganda itong gawa ng follow-up article that this is cinema nowadays is what? Is already being replaced by what is the most influential now and has a very massive impact in our community. Okay, pero during the time of Nicanor G. Tiongson, bakit niya nasabi ito yung ito na ngayon ang the most popular means of communication? Okay, because in number 2 and number 3, he already stated that this has become one of the most important means of communication. It is high time that the Filipinos examine the values encountered in, propagated by the movies. So these values at the general worldview arising from them inevitably mold the Filipinos' consciousness for better or for worse. Which is true. Because in those days, if it's already in cinema, if it's already a film, sometimes there are Filipinos who perceive that one as truth. Diba? Totoo yan. Meron pa nga yung iba keso pinalabas sa cinema, nung alala ko sa history namin class, there was a movie about the Muslims. Fernando Poe Jr. played as the main role. His religious faith in that movie was was Islam. So what happened? Many Muslims or many brothers and sisters in Islam faith really supported that because it affirmed their religious beliefs. Kaya Fernando Poe Jr. appealed to the masses of uh, uh, appealed to the Mindanao masses. 'Di ba? Yung kanyang impact from Luzon hanggang Mindanao talaga because of his roles in the film. Okay. Sad to say, the principal values encountered in most Filipino movies today are the same negative values that they have inherited from the traditional dramas which migrated, so to speak, from stage to screen and provided the latter for the longest time with both form, content, and most of all, worldview. So, also, even if the cinema has a positive impact in the values of the Filipino, there are also negative impact. Para siyang uh, uh, a double-edged sword. So there's a negative, there's a positive side of it. So what were those values which was taken from too much movie consumption? Okay. Four of these values which we must single out for their prevalence, perseverance, and perniciousness may be encapsulated in the following statements. Maganda ang maputi, white is beautiful. Kasi naman, ang mga bida, puros mga mistisa lahat. 'Di ba? Masaya ang may palabas. Shows are the best. 3. Mabuti ang inaapi. Okay. 'Di ba? Bakit gustong-gusto ng mga Pilipino yung mga films na there's this underdog in the film, and then after that underdog part, they will rise up to get their revenge, and then they become successful in the end. And number 4, maganda pa ang daigdig. All is right with the world. So those are some of the negative impact. So meron siyang positive and negative. That's why there is there is no doubt the cinema is becoming a popular means of mass communication. Okay. So very short lang itong kanyang article, but it sums up what he is trying to convey. So for me, it is what they call this? It's a good text, but something that is no longer relevant in our present times. Okay. So, what is the topic of the text? May I ask? So, what have you learned from the text while I was reading it? Okay. Althea? Althea, are you still there? Uy, walang tao. Okay. So, I will ask, sino pa nandito? O, sige, Alan Peter. Alan Peter? Okay, from the text that I have just read. Okay. What do you think was the topic all about? Okay.
Sure.
As you understand
Values
it.
po.
Okay, values. You have to be specific. Values that dapat may description yung values, no? Okay, yes.
Out for their prevalence.
Okay, so values that are, anong kind of values ba yon? Positive, negative?
Negative po.
Negative in a way, no? Kasi may pagka-ano siya. May pagka-biased siya. Huwag naman sabihin na yung maganda lang, ang mga mapuputi lang magaganda. So, you would say, siguro, that we must what? We must single out some of the of the values that are being being portrayed um, inaccurately in some of these cinemas. Okay, for these values which we must single out for their prevalence, perseverance, and perniciousness may be encapsulated. Okay, so values that we must single out when watching Filipino drama and film. Okay, yun lang. What about it? Kasi ano pa lang yun, topic pa lang yun, values, negative values in Filipino drama and film. How about it? We must what? Do something about it, or we must what? We must be careful in making sure that they are not perceived as truth. Okay. Or kailangan clear din yung statement natin hindi siya dapat as vague. So, for values or negative values in Filipino drama and film that needs to be singled out. Pwede yun. Pwede na yun magiging statement ninyo. Okay. But make sure also that you are solidly supporting it. May I ask from the group if the structure that Nicanor Chongson have placed here, is it in deductive or inductive order? Paano siya nag-arrive doon sa kanyang thesis statement? Deductive or inductive order? Si Andrew. Andrew, paano siya nag-arrive doon sa thesis statement na yon? Hello, Andrew. May tao po ba? Okay, anybody can answer? Daniel Pedregosa. Okay, how did the author arrive in his thesis statement? Nasa last ang thesis statement niya, di ba?
Hindi ko masyadong klaro sir kasi sara yung easy.
So, hindi mo siya makita? But you have your modules at page 18, right? Okay, you have your modules at page 18?
Sure.
Okay. So, what structure or style did the author use in arriving at his thesis statement? Who can help, Mr. Hindi mo na Sige, sino maka-help?
Deductive po.
Very good, Ashley. It is in deductive order. When we say deductive order, nag-start siya sa medyo sa general statement followed to the very specific. Kaya deductive ang term. Kasi nauna siya doon sa there is no doubt that cinema has risen to one of the most popular means of communication in contemporary Philippines up until the author went to the very specific, which is the negative values gained from Filipino drama and film. I think hanggang ngayon, this is still being perceived by most of the screenwriters. Diba? Ito pa rin kasi yung tema ko minsan ng kanilang palabas. Okay, so we must we must also try to if some of you are going to be screenwriters in the future, so diba? If some of you are going to write scripts for TV or for radio, so all of you must also be careful of some of the biases that you usually encounter. Sometimes sobrang subtle niya, nagiging na siya, no, nagiging parang naging naging statement na siya. Buti na lang, there are still some industries. Say for example, it could be the beauty pageants, 'di ba? The more they appreciate yung mga morena. Meron namang nagsuggest, bakit puros payat lang daw yung sa mga beauty pageants? Hindi ba daw beautiful yung mga yung mga bigger sizes? Kasi sa reality nga naman, ang mga babae, hindi lang naman lahat payat. Meron din namang average, middle, there are those who are oversized or overweight, but then these are the realities of our life. So why is it kaya kuminsan kung sino yung nanonood ng mga beauty pageants, hindi siya ganun ka popular sa ibang bansa, lalo na sa US kasi feminine or feminist group argued about the premise. Nga naman, 'di ba? May nakita ba kayong Miss Universe na na medyo malaki? Wala naman, 'di ba? So there should be also what we call this, a pageant that caters to all sizes because that's the reality we have in our present world. Okay? So that's also a very good thesis statement that you can tackle in your paper. Okay. So, dito, do you agree with the author's claim or thesis? Why or why not? For me, kulang pa siya. Hindi siguro ito kompleto. Mas gusto ko yung meron siyang survey, meron siyang statistics, at meron siyang interviews from the experts for this to become very effective academic paper. Okay. So, I hope that you have learned something in making your thesis statement. Have you? Marami ba kayong natutunan? Okay. Yes. Para kang nagsusulat ng editorial piece nito. 'Di ba? Okay. Yes, you have questions? Sino yung may voice kanina?
Wala, sir, wala.
Wala. Okay. So, there are so many issues that I am very, excited for you to write about. What are the present issues now that you can make a thesis statement, but make sure that you have a good research about it? Okay? Can you think of an example?
US elections.
Okay. Daniela, US elections. Medyo broad siya. What is it about the US elections? What about it? Nagkaroon na ba ng nagkaroon na ba ng proclamation? Who won?
Yes, si Biden daw.
Si
Biden daw po, sir.
Siya na?
Opo, panalo siya sa electoral vote.
Electoral vote. But was there already a proclamation done?
Sa 20 pa daw po.
20 pa.
Siya
Oo. Okay. So, what about it? What about that issue? Is there an argument na siyang nanalo o hindi?
Reklamo si Trump.
So, ano yung mga basis ni Trump? Why he thinks that he should have won the election?
Yung mail-in ballot daw, Chair,
okay. So, yung where exactly is that? What state?
Lahat, Chair. Halo-halo daw. Basta yung mail-in ballot daw.
Okay. So, do you instantly do you instantly side with his argument? Or you have just browsed some of those while you were reading? Okay, interesting din yun, diba? He claimed that he won. But you have to read other related articles if it also supports the same claim that he has. Okay, maganda yun siya na topic. So, okay, that's a good topic. Another topic you can write about. Okay.
the argument between
Yes, Japa.
argument po between and Lisa Ontiveros po about um, Southeast Asian Games.
Southeast Asian Games. What about it? Be specific about that topic. Yung?
Ontiveros is sinasabi niya po na may corruption na nangyari sa budget po sa pagpapatayo ng mga buildings para sa Asian Games.
Ayun. So, meron siyang corruption. So, pag if a senator release that kind of statement, careful yan sila bago yan sila mag-release. So, she must have her what? She must have her evidences. So, were you able to read about those evidences? Meron ka bang nabasa?
Wala pa silang pinalabas na evidences, pero nag-ano lang po sila, nag-argue lang po sila dalawa about it. Yes po.
Okay. So, okay. If you could be able to read other related articles about it, why not? 'Di ba? Or yung mga kahit yung mga published materials, kasi ang alam ko doon sa Southeast Asian Games, yung 50 million cauldron, yung kaldero, na masyadong expensive. Isa din yun sa pinunteriya ng mga critics nung Southeast Asian Games. Okay, pwede yun. Siguro ang magandang topic dyan, Japan, no? Was hosting of the Southeast Asian Games really worth it? Were we able to get our return of investments over were we able to get a return of how much we have spent in that games, or lugi tayo? Okay, so maganda din yon. Okay, sino pa ang gustong magbigay ng kanilang ideas or topics that you are going to write as your thesis statement?
Black Lives Matter, yung sa during sa
yes,
American
yes. Di ba nag-start yan siya doon sa isang incident? What about that Black Lives Matter are you going to write, Aaron? Are Americans really biased towards colored people?
I'm not sure, yung parang paggamit ng white privilege, good share, tapos parang hindi nabigyan yung mga black ng privilege.
Okay. So, I know that that is a very interesting topic, but kailangan marami kang babasahin yan, 'di ba? Lalo na yan, medyo yan siya case study siya, kasi you are going to tackle incidents or cases na kumbaga nag-show na may mga biases towards this particular race or yung mga privileges. Pwede yun, Aaron. Basta, sige, basahin ko yung mga ninyo mga research ninyo Okay, pwede yun. Ano pa? Pwede nga yung Miss Rabea Mateo deserves to win the crown. Kasi ang dami-daming lumabas na mga related issues nun. Who says she deserves the crown? Who says she doesn't? Pwede niyong gawan yun. Ngayon, merong lumabas na balita, November 9. Pfizer already released the most, what do you call this? One of the most successful vaccine trials, and now being piloted or being on the process na i-manufacture. Have you read that?
Yes po.
Yes. What's the argument about that?
It's 90% effective daw, tapos nasa phase 3 trial na.
So ibig sabihin, ano yung magiging topic natin about that vaccine? What about it? Pwedeng sabihin na what should government do in order to obtain the vaccines, or are the government already have plans on what to do next now that there's already a vaccine available? Oh, that could already be an interesting topic. Okay, so to wrap up my lesson this morning, here's what you are going to do. You are going to choose the topic of your own interest. Okay? Choose a topic of your own interest that you are also very willing to read related articles about that topic. Okay, those mentioned earlier can be you can use that. So those mentioned earlier, you can write them down or you can choose from them. Then I want you to read about those topics, come up with your thesis statement, and then you are going to write just an academic paper stating your thesis and then your details supporting that statement. Okay? So you please type that, please encode that one. I will post in your Google Classroom as part of your number 2 output. Okay? The clearer the message, the better. The more comprehensive, the better. Basta, I will know already in your research paper, you can put the thesis statement. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, for a while medyo may maingay sa background. Kanino kaya yon? Oo, kay J. Daniel ata yung maingay. Okay, so I will show you now how you are going to present your thesis statement. Okay? Okay. Daniel, paki-off muna ng ano mo. Okay. Thesis statement. Do you see my screen? Okay, you put your thesis statement. Okay, this could be found at the beginning of your research paper, or it could be at the end. Pero gusto ko lang i-highlight nyo siya at the very beginning. Okay? Then, start here your discussion about of your topic. And then, after you have given a short introduction, start with the body. The body should contain your argument. Okay, do not just give me one argument. You must have at least 3 evidences supporting your argument. Okay? So, per argument ninyo, you just have to capsulize that in a paragraph. Okay. Huwag masyadong, napansin ko sa inyo, pag nagsusulat kayo, masyadong mahaba yung paragraphs. Give rest to your eyes. Make sure that in each paragraph, you have one idea. Huwag yung ipapasok nyo lahat sa isang paragraph yung idea. Okay? So, after you have already, put the arguments in your body for the supporting details, okay, siguro mga 3 paragraphs yan, you will now start with your conclusion. Yung conclusion ninyo, it's just a restating of what you are trying to say in your academic paper. Okay? Naka-paragraph form din yung conclusion. Pero wag nyo nang lagyan ng conclusion. Ano na lang. Yung, it's already your, your, something that wraps up the idea in your paper. Okay? Your paper could be in, you can have it in 1 page or 2 page only, 2 pages. Okay, make sure that it is double spaced. Font size is 12. Ulitin ko. Okay, font size 12. Okay, font style, Arial or font style is Arial or Times New Roman. Okay, double space. Double space. Okay, claro? Okay, those are the requirements. Okay, so topic, you can choose your own topic. Okay, any clarification? Okay, you may choose to provide your own title. Pwede kayo magbigay ng title ninyo. Okay.
Sure.
Yes?
Pwede ba namin magamit yung research namin nung nung high school kami, sure? O magawa kami bago?
Mas maganda yung you have another academic
Okay, sure.
a topic of interest that you are
Okay,
going to
sure.
research. Okay, so when will be the submission? Okay, since this will be your output for the week, I will be waiting up until Saturday or weekend kasi I still have to check your paper. Okay? Okay lang ba sa Friday?
Ngayong week, sure.
Ngayong week. Sige, ano na lang. I will set Monday. You can start with your paper on Monday. You can start now and you can submit that on Monday. Okay? Kailangan comprehensive ha, yung yung talagang alam mo talaga na nagbasa ka ng hindi lang isang source kundi marami. Yung kailangan malaman ko talaga yan if you have really put effort into your paper because there's something new I could look forward to what I am reading. Okay? So I will also be checking that in our copyscape to see if those were originally written by you. Okay? Claro? So if you have no more questions, we can use the remaining time for you to research and start on your paper. Okay? No more questions?
Excuse me po.
Yes, Daniela?
Lagyan pa po ba ng citation?
Yes. You can cite source. Do you know how to cite sources?
Yes po. Thank you po.
Okay, yes. You can use you can put that in your paragraph. Kasi kung minsan pag nagsa-cite tayo ng source, you may either put that at the end of the paragraph, okay, if it is paraphrased by you, or you could also include that pwede mo rin siyang i-indirect statement. So, according to the Times 2000, Times published on January 27, pwedeng ganon na siya, indirect statement. Okay. So, any other questions? Wala na? Okay.
Sure.
Yes. Carl Jude.
Iba-check pa sa'yo yung topic na gusto namin or diretso na agad na kami-kami lang talaga yung topic?
Pwede ninyong ipa-check sa akin. Okay, pwede ninyong ipa-check or if you are already confident that you can already write about it, okay, pwede niyo akong i-message para masabi ko if it is a weak or a strong thesis statement. Kasi sa statement nyo pa lang, pag makita ko na medyo vague siya, sabihin ko na ganon. You can message me. You can send me a message. Okay?
Yes po, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so there's no more questions. So I think I already wrapped up my lesson for the day. So, good morning once again. And enjoy the rest of the day. Okay, you may now exit the room. You may now leave the room.
Thank you po, Chair.
Thank you.
Bye, Chair.
Bye.
Bye po, Chair.
Chair.
Bye.